Last year we mentioned that the Torah brings the source of 3 weeks of mourning from Daniel. It refers to a pasuk in Daniel which says as follows: Vayamim hahem ani Daniel hayisi misabel shlosha shavuim yamim. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks of days. Lechem chamudus v'achalti, basar v'yayin lo ba'al pi, v'soch v'sachti, ad lo shloshes shavuim yamim. I didn't eat precious bread, desirable bread. I didn't drink or didn't eat meat or drink wine. I didn't anoint myself until these 3 weeks had passed. So we find a reference to Daniel afflicting himself for 3 weeks. No meat, no wine. And in fact, the Torah brings down that there was such a minhag among some people not to eat meat and drink wine for 3 weeks. That's not such a prevalent minhag that's known today. Certainly we have that from 9 days, from Rosh Chodesh Av till Tisha B'Av. But here we find a reference to 3 weeks of mourning. Again, the Bein HaMetzarim, period between Yud Zayin B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av, seem to be more than just 2 dates which are connected, but the period in between them, this 3 week period, seems to have a definition of its own. And that's what we find in Daniel. Rav Saadia Gaon in his Perush explains why Daniel was fasting, why he was abstaining from meat and wine. And he writes, Kol kach al avelus galus ha'achrona hazois shira'ah. Daniel, of course, was after Churban Bayis Rishon. His mourning of these 3 weeks was for the final galus, the one that we're in right now, the Churban of Bayis Sheni. Al shira'ah Churban Beis HaMikdash Hasheni. The galus Zeh, he saw the destruction of the second temple, and this galus. Hitabel shalosh shavuim, he mourned for 3 weeks. Uviyom chaf alef ben Nisan sof shlosha shavuim azra al nahar chidekal ish levush b'gdei bad levanim, etc. And on the end of the 3 weeks, on the 21st of Nisan, he then went on to have his next vision. And we are somewhat puzzled by the page of Rav Saadia Gaon. Yes, it fits perfectly to what the Torah said. 3 weeks of mourning, not eating meat, not drinking wine, seeing the Churban Bayis Sheni, anticipating it, mourning it. And that concluded on the 21st day of Nisan. What in the world is Daniel mourning for the Churban in Nisan? That is what we're going to try and understand, how these days of 3 weeks of Daniel's mourning in Nisan connect to our 3 weeks from Yud Zayin B'Tammuz to Tisha B'Av. In Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Siman Taf Ayin Vav, Hilchos Pesach, we find an interesting halacha in the Ramah. Shulchan Aruch was telling us that there's a requirement that at the Seder, on the table, we place what Chazal call shtei tavshilin, 2 kinds of cooked foods. In the absence of the Korban Pesach and the Korban Chagiga, we represent them by 2 kinds of cooked foods. Traditionally, a zroa, a bone, and a beitza, an egg. However, that's tradition. The halacha is 2 kinds of cooked foods. The Gemara mentions silka v'aruza, beet leaves, and rice. Could be anything. But traditionally we know Minhag Yisrael is a bone with meat, shank bone, and an egg. Not only to have an egg, but says the Ramah, Nohagim biktsas mekoymos le'echol b'suda beitzin. In some places, there's a minhag at the meal to eat eggs. Zeichel Avelus, a remembrance of Avelus. And we're talking about the most joyous night of the year. Leil Yitzias Mitzrayim. Hallel is only said by day. There's one exception in the entire calendar when Hallel can be said at night. And that is Leil Pesach. The simcha of Leil Pesach, of Seder night, is so great that we're able to say Hallel. And the Ramah introduces an egg as a symbol of Avelis. We know that an egg is Maichal Avelim, just like the egg has no opening, and Avel is silent, doesn't have a mouth to speak. And he explains why. V'nir'eh li hatam. It seems to me, says the Ramah, the reason is Mishum Sheleil Tisha B'Av Nikva Beleil Pesach V'od Zech L'Churban Sheyu Makrim Korban Pesach. Two things. Firstly, the night of the week of Pesach will be the same night that Tisha B'Av will fall.